7 words. That is all it takes for you to understand the title. Not a gesture, not a sound you have to interpret, not a feeling you have to guess at. 7 words spoken into the air, and meaning travels from one mind to another as if there were a wire connecting them. You have done this so many times in your life that it stopped feeling remarkable before you were old enough to remember learning it. But here's the thing. Every other species on this planet, the 8 million of them that share this Earth with you, not one of them can do what you just did. And the reason why is one of the strangest stories in the history of life on Earth. Let's start with what most people get wrong. The common assumption is that animals cannot talk because they are not intelligent enough, that language is the reward for being smart, and since humans are the smartest, we got the words and everyone else got silence. That is not what happened. Dolphins solve problems that would challenge a human child. Crows have been observed using tools, planning for the future, and recognizing individual human faces. Elephants mourn their dead in rituals that last for days. Chimpanzees, our closest living relatives, share roughly 98% of our DNA. These are not simple creatures, and yet not one of them has ever asked a question. Not one of them has ever told a story. Not one of them has ever described something that happened yesterday to someone who was not there to see it. Intelligence is not the reason. The reason goes much deeper than that. For a long time, scientists pointed to the body. Humans have a larynx, a voice box, positioned lower in the throat than any other primate. That lower position creates a larger chamber for shaping sound, which is part of why we can produce such a wide range of syllables and tones. Other primates have a higher larynx, which limits what sounds they can physically make. And that matters. The anatomy is part of the story. But it is not the whole story. Because parrots have none of our anatomy, their vocal system is completely different from ours. And yet, a parrot can produce the sounds of human speech with enough accuracy that you could close your eyes and not immediately know the difference. African gray parrots have been documented using words in context, responding to questions, and producing new combinations of sounds they had never been taught. They have the sounds. They do not have the language. So the throat alone does not explain it. The real answer is inside the brain. The human brain contains 2 structures that exist in no other species in the same form. The first is called Broca's area, a region in the front left side of the brain responsible for producing speech, for building sentences, for taking a thought and turning it into words in the right order. The second is called Wernicke's area, sitting further back, responsible for understanding language, for pulling meaning out of the sounds that reach your ears. These 2 regions are connected by a dense highway of nerve fibers, and together they form something no other animal on Earth has developed to the same degree, a system built entirely for language. Other primates have versions of these regions. They are not absent, but they are smaller, less complex, and far less connected to each other. The difference between a chimpanzee brain and a human brain is not simply that one is bigger. It is that one is wired in a way the other is not. And that wiring is why you understand these words. Not because you are alive, not because you are intelligent, but because your brain was built over millions of years specifically to do this one extraordinary thing. But that brain did not arrive fully formed. 4 million years ago, our earliest ancestors walked upright across the African savanna. They made tools, they lived in groups, they communicated in ways we can only guess at now, but they did not speak. Not the way we do. The brain was not there yet. Something changed roughly 2 million years ago. The human brain began to grow at a peril that has no parallel anywhere else in the animal kingdom. Generation after generation, across hundreds of thousands of years, the brain expanded. New structures formed. Old connections deepened. New ones appeared that had never existed in any prior species. And somewhere in that long, slow transformation, language became possible. Researchers believe the kind of language we use today, full sentences, complex grammar, the ability to talk about things that don't exist yet, emerged somewhere between 100,000 and 200,000 years ago. Which means that for the overwhelming majority of time that life has existed on this planet, nobody was talking. And even within our own species, for most of our history, the people who looked exactly like us, who had the same bodies and the same brains, were living in a world without the full version of what you are using right now. Language is not old. In the timeline of life on Earth, it arrived about 30 seconds ago, and when it arrived, it changed everything. Before language, knowledge died with the person who carried it. A hunter who spent 40 years learning the safest paths through a forest, the signs that meant a storm was coming, the plants that healed and the ones that killed, could not explain that knowledge to someone who was not standing right next to him. He could demonstrate, he could gesture, he could show, but he could not explain. And when he died, everything he had learned died with him. Language ended that permanently. Suddenly, a discovery made by one person in one place could travel, it could survive, it could reach people who were never there, in times that had not happened yet, in places that did not yet exist. The accumulated knowledge of every generation could be handed forward to the next one, building on itself, compounding across centuries. This is why humans built civilizations and no other animal did. Not because we are smarter in some simple, measurable way, because we found a way to make knowledge outlive the person who found it. Every other species, no matter how intelligent, starts from zero with each new generation. We do not. We start from where the last generation stopped, and then we go further. That is the real power of language, not the words themselves, what the words make possible. There's something that stops you cold when you sit with this long enough. Every word you know was given to you by someone else. Every sentence you have ever constructed was built using a system you did not invent. The private voice inside your head, the one hearing these words right now, is made entirely of something that was assembled over thousands of years by people who are long dead, in languages that no longer exist, refined and passed forward across hundreds of generations until it reached you. You did not create language, you inherited it. And you inherited it because somewhere, at some point in the deep past, in a moment that left no record anywhere, a human being did something no creature had ever done before. They looked at another person and did not just make a sound to warn them or call them or scare them away. They tried to make that person understand what they were feeling inside. They reached across the space between two minds and tried to close it. Animals cannot talk, but watch a dog sitting at a door waiting for someone who is never going to come home and tell me that animal has nothing it wants to say. The feeling is there, the experience is there, the interior life in some form is there. What is not there is the bridge, the specific, improbable, millions of years in the making bridge between what is felt and what can be spoken, between what lives inside one mind and what can be placed inside another. That bridge was built once, in one species, on one planet, and you are standing on it right now without even thinking about it, the way you never think about the ground beneath your feet until someone points out how strange it is that it exists at all. We did not earn language. We stumbled into it through a chain of accidents and pressures and evolutionary moments that did not have to go the way they went. And what we built with it, every story ever told, every idea ever passed from one person to another, every question ever asked about where we came from and what we are doing here, all of it started with that first moment. One person, one attempt, one reach across the silence. We just never stopped reaching.